Okay, this is a video to document a Eurorack patch. This microboot sends MIDI to the computer. This yarns gets the MIDI from the computer. And this right here sends pitch info from the yarns down to the elements. This sends gate out to a buffered mult. The first output of the mult sends gate down here to the elements. Second output of the mult is triggering the envelope on the first half of the 4MS peg. Get back to that in a second. Third output on the buff mult here is triggering an envelope in peaks. So this envelope controls this parameter right here, which is brightness, and I'm not 100% sure that this is going to be a discernible effect. There it is without the brightness being modulated. But that's what it's doing. Obviously that's with it plugged back in, and now the brightness is modulated again. The peaks is also running an LFO. That's that second slowly blinking light. LFO output is coming into blow timbre. So here it is without. And here it is with it back in. Almost the same thing. But not really, because it's subtly down here. It's a mild application with the attenuverter or whatever down here, but it is subtly modulating the timbre of the blow so that it doesn't sound the same every time. Okay, so back to the peg. This on the yarns is the MIDI clock. The MIDI clock is coming into another mult. First channel output of that mult is going in here to the ping, which tells this half of the peg what the clock is. The other half is going in here on the other ping to tell the other half what the clock is. This, as I said before, triggers the envelopes. This shows that the envelope time length is constantly changing, and it is the triangle wave LFO output from the Atlantis that is causing that to change on a regular basis. What that does is it sends an envelope out here, down into the elements, where, if I recall correctly, it modulates position, which gives it a little bit of a square wave type, pulse wave modulation type effect. So if I take it out, and I put it back in, this is another one that is pretty subtle. The more obvious effects, I think, both come from the other side of the peg. This is getting the same clock, but it's not doing anything interesting with the divisions. It's just staying constant. The amber light here means that it's in LFO mode. This is the envelope output, which comes into yet another mult. And the first output from that mult comes all the way down here and modulates the space on the elements. And what that does is it gives it a pulsing reverb tail, basically. So if you listen to the end of the note, it'll go sort of whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And this, I believe, is going to be the most dramatic effect. This is another output coming from the peg down into the geometry on the elements, and it has the same pulse, but it's easier to, if I do it before after, right? So it just sort of sounds like, bottle or wind. And if I put that back in, this envelope into the geometry is what produces the sort of yowling kitten effect. Last of all, the elements output runs up into a shades. The shades attenuates it down quite a bit because Eurorack signals tend to be quite hot. And this output here sends it off to my audio interface. So there it is.